Brady breaks finance rules a lot.
Okay, that's actually, it is kind of true though. I'm Brady. I oversee the marketing growth team here at Charity Water, and so that is all of our earned, owned, and paid channels.
My name is Sarah, and I'm the Director of Strategic Finance at Charity Water. I work on budgeting, forecasting, cash flow analysis, investments.
I think Sarah's awesome. Hopefully she knows that. Doesn't need me to come on a podcast to say that. But, from early on, I think she just showed a lot of, obviously she's super sharp, but a lot of interest and curiosity in the marketing side. And I think that helped earn a lot of kind of trust and respect on my side and my team's side, as we had someone who really, cared. Wasn't just like, give me the numbers, but like really wanted to know some more of the why, which helps. And then I think we really bonded in the fires of budgeting every year. That is one of the most complicated and challenging things that Sarah does. And because we're so paid heavy, it is one of the bigger opportunities to make cuts or investments. And so it's constantly being, put under the microscope.
I think budgeting is less fire and more like rainbows and flowers. So that's, the finance side. But yeah, Brady is wonderful to work with. He's such an expert in his field, and it's something that I've been just like so grateful to learn from. In terms of like ongoing collaboration, we've gotten into really good cadences throughout our time working together. So on a monthly basis, we're really looking at revenue results and KPIs. Talking through some of the nuances of Brady's strategy, what he's shifting around, and how I might see that reflected in the revenue results. So kind of a back and forth on a regular basis about those things. And then yes, of course, budgeting, which is such a huge exercise for us every year to determine how we best allocate our organization's resources. So it's really important for us to have a good partnership in making those decisions.
I think our story is very similar to a lot of highly digital, highly paid, highly e-commerce focused brands over the past 5 years, where I think a lot of the stuff that was really working stopped working relatively quickly and kind of caused you to step back and go, what's happening and what are we not doing, or what are we doing? And we're on the decline for a while. And so, really coming across concepts like, future demand and current demand, and James Herman's work was really formative because it locked in some of the things that we were seeing, and then we kind of adopted that language and then really said, well, our proxy data, our best guesses aren't good enough, and that's where we started trying to implement some things like Tracksuit, where we could try to get better answers, not just looking back, but looking forward. We finally aligned as an organization on kind of a 5-year plan for growth, where we wanted to go from about a $100 million organization to a $250 million organization, which is a huge increase over a period of time. And when we started planning that and working it back, and Sarah and her team in particular started running the models, it was like, there is no chance we can do what we're doing today and reach that level of growth that we want in 5 years. And that was also critical to say, we are going to run out of demand or run out of runway as we currently are.
I think that what's really helped me get on board is some of the studies and information that Brady is able to share. I think with any finance person, you're going to want to share metrics, data, anything you have to really get that buy-in. So one thing that's helped me is looking at like growing acquisition costs that we were experiencing and saying, okay, what can we do to shift this trend? Those are two really big things that Brady has done well, and that I think would go a long way with any finance team.
Yeah, I mean, find a Sarah if you can. That'd be great. Maybe not the easiest solution. So finding like, look, finance isn't trying to be restrictive or not wanting to invest just because they don't like to spend money necessarily. It's, they have an extra fiduciary responsibility to be smart in how funds are used. So it's trying to make the case in ways that maybe are more understandable for where their interests are. And so again, I think being able to prove more potential ROI in the future, investing in different forms of data. Like we've invested in a marketing mix modeling platform to really help better quantify top of funnel investments that can come across as CPAs. So it's not just, hey, we increased brand awareness, isn't that great? There's these leading indicators that maybe don't show up in more the ways that Sarah would like them to for a while. And that's where something like Tracksuit has been really valuable, where we just ran a campaign in March that was really top of funnel heavy, didn't see a ton of direct ROI, maybe like we would have expected given our investment. But then when we are able to look at a platform like Tracksuit and say, you know what, the core demographic that we were going after in this campaign, awareness is up 6 percentage points in just the last month. That's super helpful for us to know. So just because we invested today, it's not like, oh, here's the ROI that's coming in today. Like, it lags for about 8 weeks. So those kind of tools and data points are really helpful. And for us, Sarah mentioned, we're kind of 2 years into this journey and almost a year in of like really intentionally investing in brand and future demand. And this is when we are starting to see some of the bottom funnel effects starting to take root. And so now it's a little bit more of a question, not, hey, does this work or can it work? Because we've shown we can increase awareness and we're starting to see some correlation. It's more about how much should we spend and when, which is a very complicated question as well, but at least it's a little bit different of a question of like, should we do this at all?
I mean, first and foremost, on the finance side, we're going to look at the bottom line. So what does revenue look like? What are we investing? How are these things panning out? And some of this we're having to be patient with, right? And so looking at the bottom line, we might see that impact 6 months, a year down the line. So trying to instill that patience as we move forward with the strategy, I think, is very important. I think something Brady and I have also talked a lot about is, we don't want to create a really rigid set of metrics and expectations around this. So that might tell us to turn off brand spend too prematurely before we really see that payoff. And so that's another piece of the patience that we're always talking about. We want to be really diligent about understanding the results, but also we definitely don't want to be too premature in terms of turning off that spend. It's such an important piece of this.
You got to go all the way back and honestly just keep resurfacing our strategy around future demand and why we're investing in brand. Because for a lot of us, it still is new. We were so performance oriented for a long time that we're used to seeing really high ROIs on the paid program, and we're used to seeing this real direct, money in, money out. And so I think just understanding that it takes patience, I think helps too.
I think with any of my colleagues that lead departments and come and want to talk about investment areas in the org, what I hope they come with is a mindset that, we have limited resources and we're doing our best to invest where we can. And Brady definitely comes to the table like that. Everyone at Charity Water understands that element, which is part of the reason that I'm really grateful to work here. But having a sense of curiosity of the whole org picture, I think, is such an important piece of leading in this way, right? So maybe asking me questions and understanding how this might impact areas of spend elsewhere. There's always bias that plays into that, right? Which I think Brady would admit. So I can understand that he's trying to advocate for the spend that he really believes in, and very validly. Brady, you want to go first on this one?
I don't know. Do you want to go?
I mean, we can talk about attribution quickly,
okay,
just because that's a fairly simple one. Recently we wanted to change some Brady wanted to change some attribution rules in our system. On Brady's side, he's wanting to make the data better and to have more apples to apples comparisons, more solid analytics, and so it all makes a lot of sense. But it's just what's the trade-off here in terms of the work on my side and the work on my team's side to implement this sort of change and the benefits that Brady will see. So, we decided to change the attribution, which I'm excited about. I think will be good, but it will have an impact on my team's work that we're totally willing to do given some of the payoffs for Brady and his team. So.
One for the marketers.
Now we need one where I win, Brady.
No, sorry, we're on a team, right? No, we're collaborative. We're on a team. I forgot. Having a good working relationship helps a lot, but also, one of the things that I advocated a lot to oversee marketing and growth was to have more revenue responsibility in addition to brand, and to have a team that works across the organization, because I think it helps make those types of decisions less biased. I'm definitely biased still, but less biased when you have more responsibility across the organization. And that one in particular, it's not just about getting kind of cleaner data or more accurate data that hopefully will show up some of our top of funnel investments and paid overall to get a little bit better attribution. It lines up more with platforms that already exist, Google Analytics or performance platforms, so that more of the data infrastructure needs less manipulation. And so eventually that should be able to allow finance and marketing and our data team to have a little bit more shared understanding of the numbers we're all looking at, and do a little less kind of, well, this is what finance says, we got to tweak it a bit for what data says versus what marketing says. Charity Water has a really rich history of maybe unknowingly investing in brand marketing or future demands just unintentionally. Again, we have a founder and CEO who's a creative and a marketer at heart and loves doing those things and not necessarily playing by all the rules that a lot of traditional nonprofits do.
Yeah, I mean, like Brady said, it's really undeniable the impact that Charity Water's brand has had on getting us to the place that we are today, right? So, you have to say, like, it's such an important part of our growth. And with some of like the recent strategic shifts we've made that Brady has spoken to throughout this conversation, it's like it's fairly recent, so we're still waiting to see the long-term impact of those investments. But I think we all really believe in the impact it can have. And I'm excited to see that stuff pay off in the long run. And don't get me wrong, I'll still be bugging Brady every 2 seconds about how our metrics are tracking. But I mean, it's an exciting time for Charity Water, I think, in terms of sort of rebuilding that brand muscle and seeing that growth over the long term.